We'll call to order the Board of Adjustments meeting for the City of Wilmington. It's Thursday, April 18th, 2024, and it's 1:01. Before we get started, I'll read the Board of Adjustments introduction. Hearing before the Board of Adjustments are quasi-judicial in nature. Decisions of the board are based on the record of these proceedings. To grant a variance requires concurrent vote of 4/5 of the members of the board. To reverse or modify the determination of an administrative official requires a simple majority. Evidence submitted to the board for review becomes part of the record. Appeals of the board's decision are to the Superior Court and based on the record. Appeals must be filed within 30 days of the date of the filing of the board's order in the Planning Division. A hearing before the board is conducted in accordance with the rules of procedure. Those who want to testify in a case are sworn as witnesses. The chairperson recognizes those who want to testify or their attorneys for presentation of evidence during the hearing. To ensure that all testimony is properly recorded, please come forward to address the board, state your name, address, and speak clearly. All right. Next item we'll move on to is the approval of the minutes from the March 21st, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion for approval or any requests for changes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes pass. The next item on our agenda is old business relating to 215 Summer Rest Road.
The applicant has requested to continue that item to the May 16th meeting of the Board of Adjustment.
All right, that being said, is there anyone that would make a motion to approve that continuance?
I'll make a motion to approve it to the May 16th meeting.
Is there a second? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes. Next item is new business regarding 1823 Wrightsville Avenue.
The applicant has requested to withdraw that item. His representative, Ms. Susan Keelan, is present if you have any questions for her.
All right, would you like to address the board at all?
I had not intended to, but since you invited me to. The reason for the withdrawal is the client has determined that a variance would probably be a more appropriate request, so we're going to file the variance request and go through the process.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And there's no action needed regarding withdrawal, correct? You don't need a motion? All right, thank you. Our next item involves 2508 Oleander Drive. It's a request for a variance to section 18-199, accessory buildings and structures, and section 18-200, accessory dwellings units, to allow the construction of a new dwelling on the site that would increase the nonconformity of the existing structure. Brantley? Oh, I'm sorry. Before we have to swear people in. Apologize. Thank you.
All right, I'll ask that staff, applicants, and members of the public that wish to speak will stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, or the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for the reminder. All right, now we'll go.
All right. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Bentley Ernest, and I am an Associate City Planner here with the City of Wilmington. Today, we'll be looking at 2508 Oleander Drive for BADV 20-424. The subject parcel consists of lots 83 and 84 in the Oleander subdivision as platted October 16th, 1925. Based upon New Hanover County tax records, Lot 83 contains a 3,254 square foot duplex constructed in 1928 and a 1,584 square foot duplex constructed in 1940. Based upon New Hanover County tax records, Lot 84 consists of a 1,426 square foot duplex constructed in 1943, addresses being 2510 and 2512 Oleander, and a 732 square foot guest house constructed in 1950, address being 2514A Oleander Drive. In the R15 district, City Code allows for one principal dwelling and one accessory dwelling unit per parcel, which would allow for 4 units on the subject property. The applicant has proposed to construct a third structure on Lot 84, which would be located in front of the existing structures and would become the principal dwelling for the lot, rendering the other 2 accessory. An additional dwelling unit on the subject property would increase the extent of the nonconformity of the site and is not permissible pursuant to Land Development Code Section 18633, extension or enlargement of nonconforming situations. To allow an additional dwelling unit on the lot, the applicant has removed the kitchen features of 2514A Oleander Drive, and such alteration was inspected by city staff on or about November 17, 2024. On or about February 7, 2024, city staff met with Mr. Cooper to discuss the proposed principal dwelling unit on Lot 84 and options for compliance with city code. To include attaching the structures, and options for compliance with city code to include attaching the structures to make the existing duplex a single accessory apartment attached to the primary dwelling. City Code Section 1828 requires that the total combined square footage of all accessory structures not exceed 100% of the square footage of the principal dwelling. To comply with that standard, the proposed new dwelling would need to be at least 2,158 square feet. City Code Section 1828 also limits accessory structures to a maximum of 1,200 square feet, which one of the existing structures exceeds by 226 square feet. Though the applicant has not submitted plans for the new dwelling as part of the application, the plans reviewed with staff did not meet the minimum square footage to conform with LDC Section 1828. On February 21st, 2024, planning staff accepted an application for a variance to the maximum allowable square footage of an accessory structure, to the minimum area required for a principal structure on the site, and to the side yard setbacks for existing nonconforming structures. This matter is set for hearing before the Board of Adjustment on April 18th, 2023, and I am here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? I just, one, so there's 3 variances?
There are 3 variances. One will be for variance to the maximum allowable square footage of an accessory structure, being for the parcel at the 226 square foot over what is allowed for the accessory structure. The second variance will be the minimum area required for a principal structure on the site, being that the principal structure will need to be in compliance with the ADU standards and accessory structure regulations, meaning that it will need to be 2,158 square feet minimum to meet those standards. And the third and final variance will be a variance to the side yard setbacks for the existing non-conforming structures.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The applicant is also in attendance if you have any questions for him as well.
Yes.
I believe he does also have a quick overview of the property in addition.
Okay,
Thank
great. Mr. Cooper? And I apologize, I heard you had to like travel across town in this traffic, so I'm hoping, appreciate
A little
it.
stressful, but we
Yeah.
got here. All right, sorry about that. I brought all this stuff. All right, I've prepared a statement, if that's okay, just to kind of summarize sort of the history of this
Yeah,
property.
And just for the record, just state your full name and address, and then we'll be good to go.
It's John Alexander Cooper. I live at 2514 Oleander Drive, which is actually right next door to what now is 2508, the subject property we're talking about. So that's on lot 83. I live there with my wife, and the kids are out of the house right now. They're in college. Basically, I just wanted to say that I'm here just to request permission to build an accessory dwelling unit on the lot 84 that will serve as a 3-car garage with a 2-bedroom apartment above it. In June 29, 1979, my father, Robert Nash Cooper, Jr., who was in business here for a long time, a lifelong resident, I was born here as well, bought this property. He resided in this house until his death in 2000. I essentially grew up in this house, and I remember him always wanting to build a structure on what is basically an adjacent lot that remains undeveloped to this day. He as I was, when I repurchased the property in 2014, I was under the impression that a structure could be built, and was told that it actually could be possibly attached to my residence at 2514 on lot 83. After discussing with the zoning offices on several occasions, I was informed that another ADU is not permitted, as it would be in front of what is now considered the primary structure, and which that structure has always been there since 1979 and before. That structure that she referred to that is on the lot is a two-story apartment that's currently rented to tenants. Any other ADU on that lot, as they informed me, would have to be attached to this building with some sort of a roof breezeway type structure, which would essentially go about 120 feet down the lot all the way to the front area where I wish to construct this garage. I just don't see that, given that this is the primary building there is being rented. It's not a practical solution to the problem. I was told that if I was to build a primary structure or make this building a primary structure, it would be, as she noted, almost 3,000 square feet. There again, my building will be nowhere close to that, and a 3,000 or so square foot building on that lot to become a primary would just not be feasible. It would spill over into part of my side yard, which I enjoy, and actually have a fish pond that you probably can see from your satellite footage. Just basically, I am respectfully requesting the board review the plan that I've submitted. I have it here with me if you don't have a copy of it, and see that it will meet all these setback requirements, both in the front towards Oleander, in the back towards the rear of the lot, and then on either side. On the, I guess, south side, there's an alley access that's owned by the city. You know, we can easily fit this building 15 feet away from that alley. And then on the other side of that alley is now 2506 Oleander Drive. It's a separate primary residence, which would be, or separate residence. That would be the only property that could possibly be affected by that, and I actually own that house as well. So I don't see this being any kind of a burden on any of the adjacent property owners or any kind of a hindrance to, or violation of any setbacks. You know, I've heard no objections from surrounding property owners, and also that it would be my intention to use this three-car garage for personal use, and also would like to rent the above apartment or allow my family to use it on occasion. But more importantly, it also, in addition to the other rentals I have, it would offer more affordable housing options in this neighborhood, which is obviously, as you all probably know, is a very desirable neighborhood. Since 2014, we've consistently rented and maintained all the apartments located behind this location, as well as the alleyway, which multiple other property owners and our tenants use for access to and from the apartments. Furthermore, there have never been any complaints about the condition of my property or any issues involving my tenants with local law enforcement or anything of that nature. So, in view thereof, I just respectfully request that the board consider this plan and allow a variance for me to just build a garage with an apartment above it. And if possible, I would ask that if we could attach it, however, the property lines go right down the lot. I know we're not supposed to cross the lines, but my contention is that this is a whole entire parcel. It's always been sold and transferred as a parcel, although it's two lots. I don't see either one of these lots ever being sold separately. And so if I was to cross the line with some sort of an attachment to my house, I don't see it would have any effect on anything. But at this point, we haven't decided if we're going to do that or not. So that's essentially my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Anyone have questions of Mr. Cooper? The city have any questions of Mr. Cooper while he's up? No questions. All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Okay. We will, since it's just Mr. Cooper in regards to this matter, we will move on to the evidentiary hearing. We'll open it up to non-parties that would like to speak in regards to relevant information regarding this matter. Is there anyone that would like to speak? All right. Being that there are none, we'll go ahead and close the evidentiary hearing, and I would ask that we ask the city for any type of rebuttal or comments.
I would just like to point out that in considering a variance, the board should not consider the person or their personal situation in determining whether a site meets the standards for a variance. Ownership can change, and a property needs to warrant a variance based on its own situation, not that of the person applying.
Thank you. Any questions related to that?
I guess a question for the city, is there a reason why there's two lots? Because this wouldn't be an issue if there was one lot, if it was just all combined together. Has the applicant ever asked? And maybe that's opening a whole nother can of worms, but right, this wouldn't be an issue because that back property at 2512 wouldn't be considered a primary residence if it was just one big lot?
It is currently 2 lots. Whenever it was originally platted as part of the Oleander subdivision, it was 2 lots. It's been under the same ownership for a long time, and what the tax department will often do is combine parcels for tax purposes. So they'll just be sending 1 tax bill instead of 2. However, this owner nor any other owner prior to this one has formally combined these 2 lots into 1. Whether it's considered 1 lot or 2 lots, it would be a non-conforming situation. This particular development pattern wouldn't be allowable under current code, and the density is already higher than what would be allowed under current code, if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
So it wouldn't be permitted if it was 1 or 2? It's just
That
clarity.
is correct.
Okay, thank you. Other questions of the city? Mr. Cooper, do you have anything else you'd like to say in regards to the city presentation and comments? Yeah, you can come up to here, so we have to be able to hear you.
I don't really have any comments other than, just by placing like I said, a simple 3-car garage forward-facing on Oleander Drive, it obviously, I think, would enhance the property. As it stands now, it's a vacant area, which kind of led to our choice of doing this is we found out through zoning that even with the back apartment being the primary, we cannot even put like a swimming pool in that open lot, because nothing can be put in front of a primary. It just was very confusing. I got a real education because I'm certainly not formally trained in this stuff, but I've tried to learn it the best I could, and I've tried to comply with all their wishes, and I just hope that the board can see that this would be an improvement to the property. It would provide another apartment for somebody for affordable housing in this neighborhood, and that going forward, I think it would only enhance the property values and maybe increase the tax base of the properties.
Questions of Mr. Cooper? Yes.
Sir, it does look, I mean, it feels like one property, right? The same black fence expands across both.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. My father bought it in '79 as one. He had the apartments, he always rented them out. He sold the property, or I sold it in 2000, and then I bought it back because I kind of liked the property. I thought it was very unique, and it always has been. Grandfathered in as apartments and residences back there. But it's always been the 2 lots, and I didn't realize about the nonconformity even being at 1 parcel. It would be nonconforming. I was not aware of that, and he was not either. So
It seems like there's a lot of greenery that would be in front of the garage, or would you be taking down those trees and everything if you did, say this passed?
no, the garage. If you look, I don't know what y'all are. I guess I'm looking at that screen there. Go back to the other screen. I mean, the garage essentially it would be the same beside the primary residence on lot 83 on my house. It would be basically right beside that, and the lot line runs right up between my house and the other lot, of course. There's no, short of azalea bushes, there's no greenery that will be removed. Behind the apartment, I will continue to have a fish pond with open yard, and we're planning to do some landscaping once this decision's made here, but I haven't really done anything yet. But there's a buffer of greenery beside the lot, between the alley and my lot, that I plan to maintain, to keep, because I like to have the buffer there.
Yeah, I guess my point was just to confirm, it seems like, say it did go up, you wouldn't really be able to see too much of it because there's a lot of greenery in front, greenery on the side.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Do the residents of 2512, do they access it through the main driveway or the gravel lot?
The alleyway.
The alleyway?
Yeah, everybody uses the alley. I use the driveway occasionally, but we want to have a garage instead. We don't have one right now, and this would
Okay.
be.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Cooper?
Is there a drawing of the proposed new structure?
Yes, sir. I have it with me if you want to see the blueprints.
I'm just interested.
Yeah. Do we have to open up, or can we submit that?
He can submit it.
Okay. We might as well see that. I think it'd be good.
To clarify, this will be added to the record, and so, Mr. Cooper, you will need to leave those plans with the clerk.
Mr. Chairman, after you review these plans as well, I would be happy to give an overview of the variances that have been requested once more, if at the end of this discussion, there is still some confusion about what we are requesting.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I actually took a few pictures on my phone before the hearing of the area, if you guys care to see them. I didn't print them up or, anything of that nature, so.
I don't know, we've had information sent to us on
Okay.
all that, so we have that. We'll do a quick look at this, have everyone look real quick, and we'll be right back with you. Share and then- I'll share. Yeah, they'll just have it all. Here we go. Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, so let's go back to Bentley, if you want to come up and go over this again.
All right, so as we discussed, we have two properties here, or I'm sorry, we have two parcels that have been combined for tax purposes. Lot 84 is the subject of what we are looking at today. That parcel, just Lot 84, does contain two accessory structures now currently. The proposal would be for a primary structure at the front of that Lot 84, in line with the second-story framed house on Lot 83. There is a pond to the rear of what would be the proposed new structure, and the applicant would still need to meet the required setbacks for this district, for the R15 district. So what he has proposed in front of you and what you've just taken a look at was not in compliance with the Land Development Code standards when city staff reviewed it back in February. However, we did recommend to the applicant that he attach that primary structure to the two-story frame, on Lot 84, that is closest to Oleander Drive, via breezeway. As the applicant mentioned previously, that would require a roughly 120-foot breezeway. However, it would allow him to have the proposed structure that he gave to us back in February to have that be built. So the reason why we're in front of you today is because the applicant does not feel that that would be a feasible thing to do, create that breezeway. So he's requesting a variance to the primary structure that is proposed, so that that structure can be less than the required 2,158 square foot dwelling that would be required per Land Development Code standards. In addition to that, it would also encroach into the side setbacks, so there would be the variance for the side setbacks. And then the final variance would be to the existing accessory structure in the rear, which has a 226 square foot over the allowable square footage for an accessory structure.
All right. Anyone have any questions of Bentley?
Yeah, I've got one. Go ahead, Scott.
I'm scanning the documents here. The side setback is, for that district, is supposed to be, does that say 5 feet?
No, for the R15, the side
It's
setbacks
10 feet.
are 10 feet, yes.
Thank you. And what is it proposed to be? How much would it encroach on that? And
I have not looked at the plans that the applicant proposed since February, but on the proposal that you just looked at, the encroachment into the side setback would be more than the required 10 feet.
In our original, it was like 7 feet.
Yes.
Okay. Any additional follow-up on that? You? No, I don't think so. No question? I don't have any. I guess, Mr. Cooper, like, anything else you want to add?
If I may, I'm just a little confused about the setback.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah,
you're
and we'll-
mentioning.
yeah.
I was told the alleyway, the setback is 15 feet from the streetway alleyway. Is that correct?
The existing structures are non-conforming with regard to setbacks, so there are several setbacks, side yard and rear, that would be non-conforming. We do not, in the plan set that we just reviewed, there wasn't a site plan that shows exactly where the proposed building is going to be located, and so it's unclear as to whether or not a variance would be required for that building.
For just related to the setback, you still would need a variance for the size and
The-
for the,
The use itself would require, the new construction itself would require a variance. It's unclear as to whether or not he would require a variance for the placement of the structure.
Excuse me.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I mean, based on the calculations, the width of the building, it would easily fit within even the 10-foot setback on the interior property line. You know, I would request that that maybe be allowed to be moved over closer just for the purposes of construction for my purposes, but if not, I can live with a 10-foot setback on the interior line as well as a 15 on the alley. That's for the new building. Now, I don't know if they're referring to the existing buildings, maybe in violation of a setback, but they've been there since 1945 or whatever.
okay, yeah, and like our situation is we're bound by these four findings of fact. So a lot of the things that you've mentioned, we have no authority over at all. So part of it is difficult because you can see like someone's where the direction you're wanting to go with something, but we have to follow those four findings. But we want to make sure we get all the information out so we have that ability to make that decision. Anybody have questions? We have both. Yes, sir. Mhm.
There was a case that sets precedent for this. It was back over off of Masonboro, where it was a very long, skinny lot, and they wanted to push it back. Remember, they built something in front of, does the city,
I think it was a swimming pool that they built in front
it was, okay, so they wanted to put something in front, I don't know, and Mrs. Stavish, tell me if I'm out of line, if I need to stop talking or anything like that.
This board doesn't set precedent, so that would.
Okay,
be-
thank
yeah.
you, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think, it is a unique, the property's pushed all the way to the back, right? So, I mean,
And I was just going to see, like, during this process, if we have any more questions, then
Okay,
we can go into deliberation. I don't want to cut, I want you to get all the information, but
I have no more questions, Chairman.
anybody else have questions of either the city or Mr. Cooper?
No, like I said, just looking at that lot is about 70 feet wide, and my building that I'm proposing is only 38 feet wide, so it would fit, by doing the math, well within any setbacks you all would want, so.
Okay, all
And then
right.
behind, the rear setback would be no problem, and the front as well, so.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else for either party?
I do believe that the setback was in regard to the furthest parcel or the furthest structure on Lot 84 there, with that side yard setback. Is that correct?
I mean, it would be the side and the rear is
And the rear.
non-conforming.
Yes, the side and rear. So just looking at the nonconformities of the lot in general, that was in addition to the BOA applicant today. However, like I said earlier, we have not reviewed the plan since February, and so I'm not familiar with the setbacks for the primary structure.
Okay.
That was
Thank you.
I actually have a question. That was the question that I was going to ask a few minutes ago. How come we have to get a variant, or how come he needs a variance on an existing structure?
Because they're changing those structures. One of them is the principal structure and one is an accessory structure. And if a new principal structure is built, then both of them would become accessory structures. And so their situation is changing, not their location.
Okay, thank you.
And those setbacks for the accessory structures would be the 5 foot from the rear and the side.
All right. Anybody else, question-wise? All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Since if there's no other questions to the applicant or the staff, I'll go ahead and close this part and go into the deliberations of members. Anybody have, go ahead.
I mean, I think if we look at the findings of facts, I mean, there is a peculiar lot conditions, and it's not something that he created, right? It's been there for decades and decades. It's a unique situation that the primary lot is, or the primary residence is pushed so far to the back. Also, it's peculiar that there's two lots that really feel like they should be one. The only hesitation I have, it just seems like a lot of units on one property, right? There's stuff around that, Ms. Thurston, right? Like how many residents there should be on. Something to me seems right about a garage, but not adding more apartments to an already congested lot. That would kind of meet more of the spirit of the code, correct, or the LDC. So those are my initial thoughts.
Other comments?
For the existing structure in the back, I believe they removed the kitchen, so that one, is it still going to be a rental without the kitchen?
We can't ask him questions. I can open it back up. I can if you want me to.
Sorry.
Actually, maybe the city knows.
Are you good with answering that question?
Can you repeat the question? Is the question whether or not that unit furthest to the rear is going to be rented?
Correct.
It wouldn't be germane to this case, whether it's rented or just, used as a dwelling unit. It could be used for personal use, but removal of the kitchen makes it not a dwelling unit anymore.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Like I said, are being bound by the four findings of fact. I have difficulty with it because of I see the purpose and the intent, but I can't see where it falls in that, but I'm just one person, so I'm open to discussions.
I could somewhat assign unnecessary hardship because if there is hardship, he can't build anything. He's got this huge empty lot, which is a tiny little thing in the back. So there's going to be hardship in the fact that there's nothing he can do with this big lot because of the LDC.
So I think it's a bunch of different hardships, really, just based on where it's sited on Oleander, the fact that they're the same thing. There's two lots, but it seems like it should be one. Alleys around two different sides. I think the fourth one is really, the fourth finding of fact, I think is probably the more challenging one, the concept of can you make something that's non-conforming more non-conforming, but I think part of the non-conforming are the existing buildings on the back that are already in the setback, which is, I don't want to say an unfixable problem, but it's not really like that's a challenge. I think in the big picture, I would benefit from seeing a site plan, but I don't know whether we can request that or not, or if that a continuance to gather that sort of information, because we're talking about theoreticals, and it would be helpful to have something in front of us, because you've got so many buildings and so many different setbacks we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I think we want to make sure that with the new building, we're not granting any variances for setbacks, like period, right? Like the old buildings already require variances. The new one should not or shall not.
I mean, we have like the three different areas where would be doing a variance based on the maximum size that we require for a principal structure. And then we also are creating an accessory structure that would be in excess of what is permitted. And then, like I said, then we have the side setbacks that are side and rear, but those three, so it's those three items. I mean, anyone could recommend approval of one of the three or none of the three or a combination. It's up to whatever the majority would say and going at that. As far as like continuing to a site plan, I mean, continuing this to a future meeting we just have to go back in and ask the applicant if that's what they would want.
Yeah, you can ask the applicant if they are willing to continue.
Okay. Mr. Cooper, can you come up to the front real quick? There's been the thoughts of the board of having you bring a site plan with all setbacks and lining it up and continuing, and it would have to be your choice to do that. It's not ours, but it has been, a member has mentioned that, so I want to give you that option.
I mean, it's something I can try to do if that's what the board desires, and when would be the next hearing?
Date specific would be the
May 16th will be our next hearing.
Okay.
or we can continue to June.
No, no, I could, if need be, you just need an overhead site plan of some sort, I guess, with survey, is that, I'm sort of new to this.
Okay,
you
no,
tell-
no,
you'll-
totally.
You'll tell me what you need, and I'll.
Yeah, and then if you do continue it, then you have time to talk to the city even more and then outline it see where comfort levels might be with people on this. But like I said, I can't make you do it, none of us can. So if you want to continue, we can, or we can move forward and vote accordingly to what you've requested.
Well, I'd like to, get this approved, so I guess I'll get a site plan if that will help the board make a better decision at this point.
Okay, so we'll do,
Unless y'all are going to vote in favor of me now.
yeah, I couldn't go, I can't decide that
I
for
understand.
people. But yeah, so if you would do want, it is an option. It's like, we like to err on the side of the citizen and having
Okay.
the ability and time.
All right, I guess I can do that May 16th.
So they would request a continuance to the May 16th meeting. We would need a motion for that continuance. Is there anyone that wants to make that motion for his continuance? Just,
I'll make a motion that we continue to the May 16th meeting.
and we'll need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the continuance, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We'll see you in May.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on, we don't have any other items on our agenda. Is anything else from the city?
Nothing from city staff. I will just announce that we've moved into the new buildings at 929 North Front Street. So if you've been looking for us at 305 Chestnut Street, we're no longer there. So come by and see us in the new building.
Okay, and for the public, we are here till next year? Isn't that the,
I don't know what the time frame for the meeting space moving to 929 North Front Street is.
okay. But for the time being, we know to come here.
But we will well
we'll make sure.
advertise that
Yeah,
change.
well, let the alien know. All right, if there's no other items, we'll adjourn. Thank you.